Good evening, Chicago. Welcome on in to another episode of Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. Tons to go through in the show tonight. We are going to be bouncing everywhere tonight. The Sky just made their first of two first-round selections in the WNBA Draft. We will react to the pick that has already been made, and then when the second one gets made, we'll take a look at that as well. How are things going to be shaping back up for the 2020 WNBA champions? How do they get back to form? What can be made now that the general manager and head coaching jobs are separated? How is that going to affect what they do in this class? Sticking with basketball, the Bulls, of course, are in the play-in tournament. The regular season is finally mercifully over. We will preview the 9-10 game on Wednesday between the Bulls and the Hawks over on the west side at United Center. The Bears, of course, are 1 week closer to their draft. We know what's happening at 1, but we will continue to discuss the number 9 pick this week. It's wide receiver week, so we'll break down some of the top wideouts in this class. And then we've got the good, the bad, and the ugly from the first few weeks of the baseball season. All that and more. Do not go anywhere. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Let's go. And hello and good evening, one and all. You have found your way into Chi-Town Weekly. I am Adam Karnick. So glad that you are here. We have got an absolute ton of stuff to get through tonight. We've got basketball, we've got baseball, we've got the WNBA draft, we've got the NFL draft, we've got some college volleyball to sneak in, all kinds of fun going on in the Chicago sports scene tonight. So without any further ado, of course, let's pay our dues and acknowledge our sponsors, and then let's dive into this, shall we? Chi-Town Weekly is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, the single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. You can find them on Instagram at Planet Jerky or head over to their website, planetjerky.net. They offer free shipping on all orders of $50 and above. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. And we are also brought to you by Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations, and you're looking for that extra special touch. Or maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or friend, and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Well, then Seal the Deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps is for you. Use them on your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. Find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps or on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals. And of course, this show is brought to you by IE Sports Radio. For the last 9.5, it's basically a month away from 10 years now, IE Sports Radio has brought you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and with our shows. Also, check out our daily updated website, iesportsradio.com, for sports news, the IE Sports Radio blog, our Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month, pages dedicated to each and every podcast, our IE Sports Radio community forum, and stop by the shop to check out the merchandise. Thank you for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And if you are listening live here on Spreaker tonight, whether it just hop on into the chat room. If you haven't already made yourself an account, it's short, it's sweet, it's simple. Then we can interact and have some fun in the chat room. It is already a very busy chat room. We've got Larry B., Ralph Calise, Kathy Karnick, Mike Pat, Taryn Rodriguez, and Wes Trueblood. Everybody in there already. Good evening, one and all. We can have some fun and interact that way. Or if you're listening later on in the week on one of the other ways to listen in, whether it's iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or you just want to sit back and listen and be entertained that way, thank you for being here. I am here for you in whatever makes you most comfortable. Let's dive into everything, shall we? Of course, it's draft season, but it's not just NFL draft season. The Chicago Sky, just before we went on the air, made their first of 2 first-round selections tonight. So let's take a look at that. The newest member of the Chicago Sky, as I'm getting at, shocker of all shockers, of course, is that Caitlin Clark went first overall to the Indiana Fever. Knocked me over with a feather, why don't you? I think fans of the Fever would have quite possibly revolted had they made any other selection. The fans there in Indiana, they've already basically sold out the entire season. Had they made any other choice, there would have been problems. But in Chicago, the 3rd overall pick for the Sky is Camila Cardoso, a 6'7" center from South Carolina. According to ESPN, she was the 4th overall prospect. The Sky got her at number 3 overall. From ESPN's pre-draft analysis, even at a time when low-post offense isn't as valued, the 6'7" Cardoso can excel because of her willingness to run the floor and defend. She took on added responsibility after the graduation of Aliyah Boston and excelled, getting more efficient despite the extra minutes and leading the Gamecocks to the national championship. The Sky needed defense after finishing next to last in defensive field goal percentage last year. They get it with Cardoso. The 6'7" center is a rim protector and has anchored college basketball's top defense. The way she runs the floor will give Chicago an element to add to the offense as well. So the Sky, of course, after the turmoil, if you will, that was last season, where they had their coach leave. Coach Wade left partway through the season, and creating a vacancy, obviously not only in the head coaching position, but also in the general manager, where he had served in both capacities for several seasons. So now we have the two positions are separated. The Sky, now first-year head coach and first-year general manager, we're starting to see how that's going to take shape here. They're prioritizing defense with their first pick. I don't have a problem with. I'm a Chicago sports fan. Twist my arm and, oh, you want me to take a defender? Twist my arm. Oh, darn, there. Okay, I'll take a defensive player. Darn. You don't have to sell Chicago on going defense first of all. So for Jeff Pagliocca and for head coach Teresa Weatherspoon, no problems with that first pick. You want to, you can score all you want, but if you can't stop anybody, it is difficult. You don't want to be getting into track meets every single game. So I have no problem prioritizing. And remember, the WNBA is a little bit different of a game from what we see over in the NBA. While there's increased three-point shooting, it's not quite at the tenacity that we've seen at the NBA level. So there is still more of an inside game. So Wes. Oh, not liking the pick at all. The Chicago curse of defense first strikes again. Oh, Wes, we've been Chicago fans all our lives. We know that that's how we're born. It's seared into us from the crib that defense wins championships. We're born. That's our first phrase that we learn as Chicago sports fans is defense wins championships. So I have no problems with it. I have zero problems with it. Now, the Sky did originally their other pick in the first round was at 8. They made a deal yesterday to effectively swap. So they moved from 8 to 7 yesterday it was yesterday morning. They made a deal with Minnesota, sending some future draft collateral, a second-round pick in 2025, plus the right in 2026 to swap first-round picks as well if Chicago's first-round pick is higher than Minnesota's. As well as there was a player involved in that deal as well. So Chicago will now be picking 7th. So they are on the clock right now. So I will wait until they make that pick to take my first break, as we'll kind of look at how we'll just take a quick peek here how the first round to this point has gone. Of course, Caitlin Clark, number 1 overall to Indiana. No shock there. That's much like Victor Wembanyama in the NBA last year, or dare I say it, Caleb Williams next week Thursday in the NFL draft. This was fait accompli. Everyone knew it was coming. Second, you had power forward Cameron Brink from Stanford. She is out in Los Angeles now playing for the Sparks. Then, of course, we had Camila Cardoso go to Chicago. The Sparks were on the clock again, then at 4. They took small forward Rika Jackson. So going with a couple of forwards there with those 2 picks. Jackson was somebody that actually I saw mocked to Chicago fairly recently, and that was ESPN's 3rd overall prospect. So a good pickup for the Sparks there. Then at 5, we had Dallas take J.C. Sheldon, a shooting guard from Ohio State. We'll see what that translates to her at this step. There's question over whether or not she will be a point guard or a shooting guard in the WNBA, but she should still be able to contribute offensively early and often. And then the Washington Mystics selected Aliyah Edwards out of UConn with the 6th overall pick. So the Sky are on the clock yet again. Now we'll see. Right now, Angel Reese is considered the best available prospect out of LSU. Another power forward, so that would be kind of doubling up then at the power forward spot, or down low there, but a center and then going with a power forward. Angel Reese, there, that motor is gonna take her places in the WNBA. Some other options: Nika Mule out of UConn. If you want to go backcourt, she's a point guard option there. Another point guard option would be Leila Lacan from France. Could be an option here. She's a little on the shorter side. She is 5'11". Angel Reese is 6'3", and Nika Mule. Oh, excuse me. Nika Mule is also 5'11". I apologize. I thought Nika Mule was a little taller than that. So those are the top 3 options right now per ESPN. We'll see what the Sky do. As I'm just trying to, they have a minute left here to make the pick. So we'll just hang out right here while we wait to see. We wait to see what they do, what Jeff Pagliocca does here with his second pick. ESPN has power forward and small forward as the other needs for Chicago right now. We'll see what friend of the show Annie Costable has to say about that as well. She was doing obviously a lot of mock draft stuff as well. As we let's see, and she of course is there at the draft while we're waiting. Wes is giving me grief here in the chat. The Bears don't intend to draft a power forward. I mean, that would certainly be a surprise to everybody if they drafted a power forward with the number 1 or the number 9 pick. I think that would be interesting. The Bears will not be going defense first overall. No, that will not happen here. Let's see a little bit more from Annie Costable here on Cardoso. She played her last 3 collegiate seasons as South Carolina after transferring from Syracuse. Last season, Cardoso averaged 14.4 points and 9.7 rebounds, helping South Carolina complete a perfect 38-0 season that ended with an NCAA championship. In that title game, Cardoso finished with 15 points and 17 rebounds. You have no problem with a double-double machine coming on there. And then here we go. Angel Reese is now the draft pick. The card is in. And Angel Reese from LSU is the pick for the Sky at 7. Reese, 6'3" power forward from LSU. From ESPN, a limited shooting range and the lack of well-defined post moves might hinder her initial transition to the pro game, but no player in this draft pursues rebounds with Reese's skill and tenacity. She was also named to the SEC and Big Ten all defensive teams a total of 3 times. Let's see if I can get her college, some of her college, and Mike Pat, of course, is excited because she's from Baltimore, Maryland, so right there in Mike's neck of the woods. There, we'll pull up some quick stats on Angel Reese. This is the fun of doing the show as the draft is literally happening. We get to fly around and react to everything in real time here. 4 seasons of college basketball, 2 at LSU, and then also 2 at Maryland. So she stayed kind of close to home first before then transferring before her junior season. She played in 116 games overall with 104 starts. A field goal percentage of .498 overall, including she shot .525 from the floor as a junior and was exactly 50% from the floor as a sophomore at Maryland. Averaged 28.5 minutes per game. As we get total points averaged for her career, 18.6 points for her career, which is also what she did as a senior. As a junior, she averaged 23 points a night for LSU. She also averaged 12.3 rebounds per game, including 15.4 as a junior for LSU. That fell a little bit as a senior. She only averaged 13.4 as a senior in rebounds per game, but still 12.3 rebounds per game on average, including 14.4 the last 2 years with Louisiana State. So that is the second first-round pick for the Sky, Angel Reese. So the Sky have made their first 2 selections. They do not pick again now until the 3rd round tonight. So they've got a little bit of time off before they are on the clock again. In fact, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. They do have the first pick of the 2nd round, and then that is it. I apologize. I had my rounds mixed up there. The Sky have one more pick tonight. It'll be at 13 overall, the first pick of the 2nd round, and then they are done. All right, we are going to take our first break from one draft to the other. We will, on the other side of a break, we will discuss the Bears. It's time to make your case. This week, we're going to be talking wide receivers. This is a deep wide receiver class. Lots of options. We will have some fun there. This is Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back after this.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey yo, what's up? It's your man Bishop, the voice of This Is KC Sports, the show where we go over the Chiefs, the Royals, KC Current, Sporting KC, MU, and oh yeah, if we got time, we'll even throw in some of that KU stuff for my people on the 913 South. Come and hang out with us every Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
Hey, what's up, BS3 sports fans? If you love listening to the BS3 Sports Show, check out the weekend wrap-up every Monday at 12:15 Central Time, 1:15 Eastern, recapping the weekend in sports like you never heard it before. Comedy, interactive chat room. It's a must listen. Weekend wrap-up on Spreaker.com, part of the X Squad. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. So we were breaking down the Chicago Sky making their 2 first-round picks tonight. Now it's time to make your case. It's time to discuss the Chicago Bears. We know what they're going to do at number 1. Last week, we broke down the defensive end position, some of the different guys that they could take there if they so chose at number 9. This week, we're going to talk about what is probably the most tantalizing position in this class. It's arguably the deepest position in this class overall. Some people are mocking as many as 7 wide receivers to go in the first round this year. This wide receiver class should be a great one, and there are some excellent guys at the top. Now, I want to preface this right off the gate. I'm not going to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. Not that I don't want him for the Bears, but the object of this exercise is what the Bears would do at 9. And I see 0 chance that Marvin Harrison Jr. falls to 9. None. The farthest he could possibly fall is 6. And that would be mind-blowing. I know there's rumors out there that the Bears might trade up. Take that with a grain of salt. I do believe that there's interest there from Chicago. It makes 0 sense if you're Arizona. I can't make that trade make sense on the Cardinals side. And it takes 2 to tango. So we're not going to be talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. Instead, let's look at some guys that should be there instead. And again, these write-ups come from Athlon Sports. I have used them for several years. I use them for fantasy as well as I use them for draft prep. I really like them. It's a great magazine. I encourage you guys to go out on newsstands and get it. So that's where these write-ups come from. And that's where these rankings come from. And as I see Wes is back in the chat room. Jen B, hello, Jen. Good evening to you as well. There's going to be controversy right out of the gate with this first one. But we will talk our way through it. And we'll go through it. First up, Rome Odunze out of Washington, 6'3", 215 pounds. Strengths. Odunze is a complete receiver with the size, athleticism, and physicality to dominate at every level of the field. He uses his height and solid frame to win contested catch situations with regularity, but he wins just as often with smooth technique and subtle moves to stately and... I jumped a line there. Excuse me. But he wins just as often with smooth technique and subtle moves to set up his defender for failure at the catch point. His versatility and explosiveness were deployed in many creative ways by the Huskies offense, which frequently got him the ball in space, handoffs, screens, etc., showing off his ability to be a big play threat every time he touched the ball. Weaknesses? In terms of his individual skill set, there's not much to complain about with Odunze. I watched a few of his games live. I got a chance to call one of his bowl games. I watched a few others of his games. I would agree with that assessment. There's not a whole lot to complain about. Perhaps the biggest detraction NFL scouts might have is the fact that he played in a pass-happy scheme with an elite quarterback and was often surrounded by other talented receivers who pulled attention from opposing defenses and afforded him plenty of one-on-one opportunities. Can he produce at the same level without that kind of talent and scheme creativity aiding him? We'll come back to that. Hold on to that thought. Final analysis. Had Odunze declared for the 2023 draft, he could have easily been the best prospect in the class. Instead, he returned to school for another season of experience and refinement, boosting his stock and making him even more prepared to make an immediate impact at the next level. He's got all the physical and mental tools to immediately take over the wide receiver one role in an NFL offense. A first-round grade from Athlon Sports, and Odunze checks in overall on their big board. As I had the page and then I lost it. He checks in as the number 7 overall prospect on their board. 4 years at Washington, 214 catches, 3,200 yards total. 24 touchdowns, including 13 last season. He also carried the ball 10 times for 40 yards and had 2 rushing touchdowns. Remember what they said about that? He was often surrounded by other talented wide receivers, and that gave him lots of one-on-one opportunities. The Bears have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. No way Rome Odunze is going to be getting doubled up as a rookie if he's with the Bears. So that weakness, you can just chuck that right out the window with Odunze. He doesn't get the separation that I think you'd always like a wide receiver to get, but he understood at the college level, he understood how to make contested catches. And you put him in a lineup with Moore and Allen, and he can, any of these wide receivers can afford to take a little bit of some rookie lumps early as we go. I would be very excited with Rome Odunze as the pick. Next up, out of LSU, 6 foot exactly, 200 pounds even, Malik Nabers. Strengths: a smooth route runner with elite explosiveness. Nabers does his best work after the catch, where his instincts and stop-start ability allow him to eliminate angles and turn any touch into a big play. He's got soft, reliable hands and is just as comfortable beating man coverage and creating consistent separation as he is finding soft spots in zone defenses and making opponents pay for not closing on him in time. He can attack all levels of the field and win on any route he's asked to run. Weaknesses, and Wes is is just cheering in the chat room, as I knew he would. 4.34 40-yard dash. The speed is there, and it plays. Weaknesses. While he excels at separating from defenders, 4.34 will do that, both with and without the ball. Neighbors can struggle when he's forced into contested catch situations. He could use similar improvement in the physicality department when it comes to his release off the line of scrimmage, where his technique still needs some refinement. If he can't overpower opponents at the snap, he'll need a more polished approach to win early against NFL defenders. In the final analysis, while he doesn't have the size or physicality of the other top receivers in this class, Neighbors makes up for it with rare explosiveness and big play ability after the catch. If he can improve his ability to win his release at the line of scrimmage, he could quickly develop into one of the most complete and dangerous pass catchers in the league. He has a first-round grade from Athlon, and overall, he checks in as their number 8 overall prospect. 3 years at LSU, and quick reminder for everybody that that team over in Minnesota, that purple team that's got that really good receiver, Justin Jefferson, he was a product from LSU as well. This is a school that has done a good job in coming out with professional wide receivers lately. Justin Jefferson from Cincinnati. And now that I have to say his name, it's of course blanking on me. Somebody in the chat room will save me on that one. There's another prospect we'll get to in a moment that is also from LSU. Another side note on Neighbors here from Athlon. They gave him, oh, excuse me, they did not. Excuse me, I had him confused with Jaden Daniels. I apologize. Jaden Daniels is the best deep thrower in the class, according to Athlon. I was thinking that Neighbors was the most explosive, but they actually gave that to Marvin Harrison. So excuse me. Never mind. I will not read that blurb then. The big thing there, you can't teach speed. There, you can have all the greatest coaches in the world. You literally cannot teach speed to players. It's one of those things that I love to look for in the later round picks are those little intangibles that, okay, you're not getting you're not getting a perfect prospect here, but let's see if we can find, we're going to have to teach him something, but let's see if we can find some traits that can't be taught. And speed, of course, is always one of those. 4.34 40-yard dash, that you can't top that. So that is absolutely, that plays, and that comes out on the tape as well. Moving on. Out of South Carolina at 6'3", 227 pounds, one of the older wide receivers in this class, Xavier Legette. Strengths. His receivers with this kind of speed and straight line speed immediately jump off the tape. His tall, well-built frame screams physical possession receiver, but watch him explode after the catch and eliminate pursuit angles, and you'll wonder how any player of that size can move like he does. He relies on that solid frame when making tough catches over the middle, and he's just as happy to break tackles after the catch as he is to run by would-be tacklers. Unlike many taller, thicker receivers, he's fluid and explosive coming in and out of his route breaks. As a fifth-year senior, Legette saw his production explode in 2023, so doubters might wonder why he wasn't putting up these kind of numbers before. It's a similar question you could ask of Neighbors. With a receiver his size, that's Legette again, you'd love to see him be more consistent with his physicality and effectiveness as a downfield blocker. He can be explosive off the line of scrimmage, but could use some improvement in his technique when it comes to maximizing his size with his releases against press coverage. Final analysis. While his career production might paint Leggett as a one-year wonder, his physical traits and impressive film point to a breakout player finally growing into his talent. His combination of size and speed alone will be worth first-round consideration, and comparisons to NFL stars like A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel aren't unfounded. It won't be shocking if he cements himself as a day one pick. 5-year collegiate career, 113 tackles, 70 to the point of how big his fifth year was. 113 career catches, 71 of those came last season. 1,678 yards, 1,255 of those came this past season. 12 touchdowns, 7 of them this past season. He also carried the ball 9 times and lost 9 yards. That is Xavier Leggett out of South Carolina. Looking at the clock, we'll do 2 more here, and then because any further past that 9 really gets to be completely unrealistic. Next up, this is another one that Mike Pat will be excited about. Keon Coleman out of Florida State, 6'4", 215 pounds. He's only 20 years old, only 3 years in college. An imposing presence with a massive frame and wingspan to match, Coleman is a first-off-the-bus player who inspires fear in opposing defensive backs from the moment he steps on the field. He puts that size and length to good use, too, dominating his competition with physicality at the line of scrimmage and in contested catch situations. Combine that with impressive leaping ability, and you've got a matchup nightmare who can simply overpower his way to the ball, particularly in the red zone. His weaknesses, while there's no denying Coleman's ability to dominate physically, he still needs some work smoothing out the finer points in his game. His footwork, both when releasing at the line of scrimmage and when coming out of his breaks during the route, could use some polish. He's got some explosiveness, especially for his size, but he doesn't have the elite top-end speed of other top receivers in the class. The final analysis, Coleman is a dynamic playmaker who lives above the rim, and he knows how to make the most of his best traits, so he'll find immediate success at the next level doing what he already does best. If he wants to unlock the next level of his potential as a complete player, though, he'll need to add some technique improvements to make his skill set more well-rounded. Coleman does have a first-round grade from Athlon. Overall, Coleman comes in at their 23rd overall prospect. Leggett out of South Carolina comes in at 20. Comes up at 20 overall. And a couple of comments here from in the chat room. Wes, True Blood, just continue to gush over Malik Neighbors. He's also a missed tackle monster. His after-catch movement skills are unbelievable. Wouldn't mind a double up with Xavier Worthy later on. Yet Worthy is one of those guys that keeps climbing draft boards. I would not be surprised if Worthy sneaks into the back end of the first round. So that would be an interesting maneuver on the part of the Bears. So I'll break at this point with these guys. So Roma Dunza, Malik Neighbors, Xavier Leggett, and Keon Coleman from at the wide receiver position. There's several other guys, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, Adonai Mitchell out of Texas, lots of players that are also getting mentioned in the first round. It is a part of this particular draft overall. It's not necessarily a wide class. There are several positions that are really high end and are really deep. quarterback and wide receiver especially seems to be one of those where there's a lot of really talented players. And so the consensus seems to be in the drafting world that a lot of teams are going to start taking wide receivers at a very rapid pace in this, because even the 8th or 9th, even the 6th, 7th, 8th guy is going to be better overall of a prospect than the first or second guys at a lot of other positions. So I can't disagree with you, Wes. If Malik Neighbors is there, holy cow, you spend no time turning in the card. It's just you make the phone call from Hallis Hall over to your proxy in Detroit, and you say, run up to that stage. Write it as you're going. Make sure that nothing goes wrong, that you get Malik Neighbors. Do everything in your power to do that. Neighbors, I will be surprised if he's there at 9. I'll be honest at this point. Harrison, there's no way Harrison will be there at 9. Neighbors, if he's there at 9, you thank everybody. You just look at the other teams that drafted and you just say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Commanders, for also needing a quarterback. Thank you, Patriots, for also needing a quarterback. Thank you, thank you, Chargers, for doing whatever it was you did. Thank you, Giants, for doing whatever it was you did. Thank you, Atlanta, for taking defense. Thank you for leaving us this guy. And the likely chance that Neighbors is not there, man, Rome Odunze would look so good in a Bears uniform. And I'm not just saying that because he wore number 1 in college. Odunze's skill set would fit in so well with what the Bears are trying to do and another thing to keep in mind with Odunze, DJ Moore is under contract for the next 3 seasons, which is a long time in the NFL. But Odunze could be somebody that would very capably take over the primary receiving spot when and if that should happen, which is a way then that you can avoid being in salary cap hell, which is a place that the Bears seemingly always love to find themselves eventually. So, yes, that's very much playing a long game, but you are very much setting yourself up there to not need to not be cornered into a situation where you have to keep DJ Moore. You can choose to keep DJ Moore at that point when the time comes. So that's my breakdown of the wide receiver position. That's how I'm making my case there for either Neighbors or Odunze at that spot. Either one, oh my gosh, the Bears could have the best wide receiver trio. Oh my gosh, certainly in the division. Oh, I'm getting chills thinking about it. I don't even want to say it and jinx it. All right, we are going to take ourselves another break, and we have, you can't really call it playoff basketball to discuss, but we have postseason basketball to discuss in Chicago, and let's check in on the baseball teams as well. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
IE Sports Radio fans, it's your boy, the SoCal Saint, the host of the premier professional wrestling podcast online today, the IE Elite Wrestling Show. If you're a fan and have a passion for the world of professional wrestling, this is the show for you. I take you inside the ropes with all the athleticism, high-flying, and hard-hitting action, and then we take it backstage with all the backstage drama and backstabbing that goes on in the world of professional wrestling today. If something's going on in the world of professional wrestling, rest assured, the SoCal Saint knows what's going on, and he's going to let you know too. If you're a fan, check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on IE Sports Radio, the IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling, on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports. Check us out.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Yo, what's going down? This is Spaced Out Sports with your host, J-Man, giving you all Houston sports straight from the source, brought to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. In this show, we're going to talk about everything Houston, through and through, and everything. We're going to talk about the surrounding areas. We're going to talk about local sports, everything in Texas in general, mainly Houston, but we're going to talk about everything in the sports world. I want to hear from y'all. Y'all definitely going to hear from me. We're going to go from anything all over, from it's football to MMA to everything. Let's have a good show. I'm looking forward to hearing from the city. Y'all make sure y'all just check me out every Wednesday right here at Spaced Out Sports, brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we're back here, Mike Pat pointed out in the chat room there during the break, the Sky did indeed make the first pick of the second round while we were at break there. Coming from Gonzaga, the Sky selected Brina Maxwell, guard for the Zags. She was first team all West Coast Conference, averaged 14.2 points and just under 3 rebounds per game with the Zags. So a quick recap here. During her 5 collegiate seasons, 3 were in Utah, 2 at Gonzaga, nearly 62% of her field goal attempts were from three-point range. So she is a deep point threat. Her future will depend solely on her three-point accuracy, which dropped from 48% in 2023 to 44% this past season. After size and rebounding for the Sky and Cardoso and Reese, the Sky went with a pure shooter in Maxwell. Her 96 threes this season ranked 6th in the country. So things shaping up nicely for the Chicago Sky. I wish that we could say things were shaping up so nicely for the other professional basketball team in town. As I'll let you know tonight, we are the only docket on tonight for IE Sports Radio, so I can go a little long here tonight as we're coming up on the hour. We'll go a little over. The Bulls' regular season mercifully came to an end yesterday with an overtime loss to the New York Knicks. It was, my gosh, what was it, the third time playing the Knicks this month? They beat the Knicks in Chicago back on the 5th, then lost to them again at United Center a few days later, and then lost out in Madison Square Garden yesterday in overtime. The Bulls finished the season at 39-43, but not to fear, they're not done playing basketball yet. Yay? I think I'm supposed to be excited for this. Davidson, Davidson Crooks, the host of Fast Break. You're in the chat here, Davidson. Davidson, am I supposed to be excited for the fact that the Bulls season isn't over? Because frankly, I'm not. I want it to be done. They take on the Atlanta Hawks on Wednesday night, 8:30 Wednesday night on ESPN in one of 2 play-in tournament games. And this is, not the first year the NBA has done this. In fact, if I remember it correctly, this is on the Eastern Conference, this is literally the play-in tournament matchups that we had a year ago. The Bulls and the Hawks in the 9-10 matchup, and the Heat and the 76ers in the 7-8 matchup. I just can't get excited for this. I understand. I applaud the NBA for trying to do some outside-the-box thinking. All U.S. sports leagues right now are dealing with tanking in some regard or the other. And we'll get a little bit more into that as we discuss the White Sox here at the end, as they're tanking incorrectly. We'll get into that. But so I get that they're trying to keep more teams alive, that they're trying to create some intrigue, and I get what they're trying, and I applaud the league for trying it. But this Bulls team isn't going anywhere. Don't get me wrong. I believe that they could beat the Hawks on Wednesday. They went 2-1 against Atlanta this season. Kobe White has played very well against them. Trae Young has struggled when having to go up against Ayo Dosunmu. Ayo Dosunmu defends Young very well in the backcourt. There are some DeMar DeRozan is a terrific basketball player. And when Vucevic has his act together, he can be a terrific low post offensive presence. Defensively, oh my gosh, just get out of the way. But then you win that game, then you have to take on either the Heat or the 76ers. The Bulls struggle with both of those teams. And then should they get past that, you've got Boston waiting for you in the first round. And you're not getting past Boston. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. Of course I'll be reacting to it. Davidson saying that Billy Donovan should have taken the Kentucky job. Donovan, to his credit, he likes being in the NBA. I have no idea why he likes being the head coach of the Bulls. This is a franchise going nowhere and going nowhere so fast. So they're in the 9-10 game again. This is the second year in a row of being in this game. And we'll see what comes of it. I fully, totally expect that come next week, the Bulls season will be done. So, and we'll put a final finishing bow on it at that point. Speaking of teams that are going nowhere and owned by the Reinsdorf family, the White Sox. Oh boy, we're going to do one more quick segment here. I'm not going to break. We'll just stay right here. I want to do the good, the bad, and the ugly for the Major League Baseball season to this point in Chicago. We have right now the White Sox are playing the Kansas City Royals and they are losing 2-0. Let's start with some good, shall we? Just because I can't fathom starting with the ugly. We're going to start with some good. The Chicago Cubs as a whole, my goodness, 9-6 overall, and am I inquiring? Wes, go on there. Am I inquiring? Explain, sir. Oh, am I imagining another baseball team? Oh, I got you. Okay. Okay, I got you. Yeah, well, they're going to move to Nashville here in a couple of years, so that's it. That's all there. The good, the Chicago Cubs, and specifically that win yesterday, that was grit and determination. This has been quite the road trip for them. They lost an opener out in San Diego when they led 8-0 at one point, but they did not let that kind of define the entire road trip to this point. They then turned around and took their first road series of the season, taking the final two in Seattle yesterday. That gutsy 3-2 win where the bullpen had to hold a 1-run lead over the final 3 innings. 2 double plays, one in the 7th, one in the 8th, and then Adbert Alzolay picking the tying run off of first base to end the game. The Chicago Cubs as a whole, this road trip has been good for them. There's been some rough in there as well. That first loss to That opening loss to San Diego was a tough one when they led 8-0 and finally lost 9-8. But overall, this has been a solid road trip for them. They now have 3 out in Arizona. We'll see what Ben Brown can do tonight. The bad. The White Sox offense. It's just non-existent. There's just no offense to speak of with this club. Through 15 games, they have already been shut out 4 times. I don't know how you do that. Some good over on the Cubs. Michael Busch and Shota Imanaga. Wow. Some rookie sensations jumping out in the MLB. Now, technically, neither one of them, Michael Busch is technically a rookie, but he did have a taste of the MLB last year with the Dodgers, and Imanaga is rookie by definition only. It's his first year in the major leagues, but he's been playing professional baseball for some time now over in Japan. Michael Busch, with a home run yesterday, became the first Cub since 1901, the first rookie Cub since 1901 to homer in 4 consecutive games. The young lefty is making a name for himself at first base. That was a position where you were wondering what might happen for the Cubs. That was a giant question mark spot for the Cubs coming into this season, was who would they have playing first base and how well would they do? Michael Busch is doing an excellent job there to start the season. And Shota Imanaga, in 3 starts, has yet to give up an earned run to this point. On the season, record of 2-0, 16 strikeouts, a whip of .72, 15 1/3 innings, only 9 hits, and just 2 walks to this point. That splitter is playing extremely well to get started. Only 1 run allowed, and it was unearned against Seattle in his last start. Shota Imanaga is playing exceptionally well. For both of these guys, it'll be interesting to see what happens as the calendar turns over to May and especially into June, as more and more tape comes out on them and major league teams figure out how best to attack them. But man, there's nothing bad you can say about their starts to this point. Ugly. The Chicago White Sox are 2-13. It is their worst start in franchise history. At their current pace, they would win just 21 games, destroying the current MLB low water mark for fewest wins or most losses in a 162-game season. And their current winning percentage of 133, if they were to maintain that, they would be challenging get this for history. And I want to do some more digging into this. Jen B., I already approached you about this. Jen is our Cleveland host. They would be approaching the 1899 Cleveland Spiders team for worst winning percentage over a season in North American professional baseball history. That's hideously ugly. Now, it's not all roses for the Cubs. The Cubs, of course, Justin Steele is on the injured list. Merriweather, one of their bullpen pitchers, is currently on the injured list, and the Cubs just found out earlier today that right fielder Seiya Suzuki has been placed on the injured list with an oblique strain. This is the same injury that he suffered a season ago, just on the other side, and it kept him out for a month. So that might possibly happen here again this year for Suzuki. So it's not all good for the Cubs, but certainly less bad for them. That will do it for our show here tonight. Want to say thank you again to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Find them on planetjerky.net or on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Also, Seal the Deal Wax Seals with Cecilia B. You can find them on Instagram at SealTheDeal_wax stamps or Facebook Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Thank you to Larry B., the overlord here at IE Sports Radio, for all the hard work you do behind the scenes, sir. It does not go unnoticed or unappreciated. Thank you to everybody hanging out in the chat room tonight. Mike Pat, Wes Trueblood, David Nixon, Crooks, Taryn Rodriguez. Shout out to the Loyola Chicago men's volleyball team as well for their fine work over the weekend. Taryn, of course, the host of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio. Wanted to give the Ramblers a shout out there. Jen B, also in the chat room. Ralph Calise, Kathy Karnick, everybody hanging out in the chat room with us tonight. Thank you, one and all, to each of you. Finally, thank you for listening and being here and being part of the show. I really appreciate that. That is a lot to me. Next week, we'll see where the Bulls are at with their season, and if they're still alive, or if we can finally stick a fork in them and officially declare them done. We'll have more Bears draft coverage as we're getting ready for that. Next week, we will tackle the third blue chip position that the Bears are discussing, offensive tackle. And then I will make my final recommendation for what and whom the Bears should take at number 9. And we'll see what else comes up along the Chicago sports scene between now and then. Until then, I am Adam Karnick. This is Chi-Town Weekly, part of IE Sports Radio. Thank you so very much for being here. Tell your friends, share the show with others if you like what you heard. Be safe, be well. We will see you next time.